You can find a comfortable seat, potentially on your heels, otherwise maybe legs out ahead of you. And allow yourself to settle for a moment. I don't know that I can actually use the word as a verb, but I like to think of this as a moment to presence oneself. Notice the depth of the breath, the quality of it. Notice any sensation that stands out in the body. Discomfort, tightness, pain. Exhale everything that is in the lungs by drawing the navel in. And then on an inhale, fill up all the way from the diaphragm, through the lungs, into the throat. And exhale, let it go. We'll do one more of those cleansing breaths, inhaling fully through the nose. And exhaling through the mouth. On your next inhale, let's inhale these arms out to the sides and up, palms touching overhead. And then we're going to exhale, right fingertips down, bend that elbow, reach over the left ear with the left arm. Keep anchoring that left hip down. And on an inhale, we'll come back up through center. And then exhale, go to the other direction. Inhale, back up through center. On an exhale, we're going to grab opposite elbows and give yourself a moment here to draw those shoulders back and reach the elbows back. You might lift the heart a bit. So we have a mini back bend here, but we're really only involving from above the navel and up. Keep the shoulders softened from the ears, drawn together on the back, lifting the heart. And come up through center. On an exhale, we're going to twist to the left, right hand outside of left knee, left fingertips behind. Every exhale, deepen. Every inhale, lengthen. And inhale, back up through center. Exhale, other side. Inhale up through center. On an exhale, we're going to hinge over the knees, plant the hands, and take a couple rounds of cat-cow here, just warming up the spine. One more cycle, maybe introducing that constriction at the back of the throat, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And then we'll return to center. On an inhale, we'll sweep the right arm up. Exhale, thread it through, palm face up. Right ear on the mat, left arm can reach up or wrap around the low back. Keep drawing the shoulder blades together on the back, broadening through the collarbones. And then we can inhale, sweep the right arm back up. Exhale, plant it. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, thread it through. This time, right arm can come to the low back, reach up toward the ceiling. Again, shoulder blades draw toward each other. And on an inhale, plant the right hand, sweep the left arm up. Exhale, plant the left hand. We're going to start with some wrist warm-ups like we've been doing every once in a while. For now, just do some circles on the wrists, focusing on pressing into the fingertips as you do so. Today's class, we had a request for some shoulder work, so we're going to work that in, and we're going to do it through different ranges of motion, but I'm definitely going to include a little more side plank work because we haven't done that at all recently. So warming up the wrists can be a great help to us now. From here, let's turn fingertips out to the sides of the mat, do some gentle rocks side to side. Bring the hands back to their starting position. We're going to do some scapular push-ups, and I'll show them to you with the knees planted and then with the knees lifted. So basically rock forward to hands and knees, if you're not already, and just push the mat away, feeling the shoulders round on the back. And you can do some rounds like this. If you're doing this and you're like, you know what, I want a little more intensity already this early in class, come up to plank pose. And again, go from flat back plank, rounded back, flat, rounded. And it all comes from just pressing into the mat. You might already feel a little fire in the shoulders. That's great. We're going just for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it rounded. Curl the toes under if they're not already. Press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Give yourself a moment here. Your first down dog of class, walking those heels out. Maybe swaying hips side to side. Two more breaths here in this downward facing dog. And then on an inhale, we'll lift this right leg into the air. Exhale, step it forward. Inhale, lower left knee, chest chin up. Exhale, left foot to the front. Inhale, rise all the way. And exhale those hands to heart center. Inhale, palms back up overhead. Go ahead and cross just the thumbs. Keep the fingers glued straight together in Anjali Mudra. And we're going to pull the arms to the right, hips go to the left. Keep focusing on complete contact between those palms. Inhale back up through center. Exhale the other side. Inhale through center. Exhale, soften those knees, fold down. Right foot slides back, lower that knee. Inhale, chest chin up. Exhale, step back, plank pose. Option to take 3 scapular push-ups here. And then lower the knees, lower chest and chin down, Ashtangasana. Inhale, snake through, Bhujangasana. Exhale, release. Inhale, press up and back, downward dog. This time, on an inhale, we'll lift the left leg up. And then exhale, step it forward. Lower that right knee to inhale, chest chin up. Exhale, feet together. Inhale, rise. Because we've now done side bends, both directions, we'll just exhale, hands to heart center. We did while seated and while standing. And then we can inhale those arms all the way up. Exhale, soften those knees, fold all the way down. Slide the left foot back, lower that knee, inhale, chest chin up. Exhale, step it back, plank pose. Again, option for 3 scapular push-ups or to hold and plank. And then lower knees, lower chest and chin, elbows bend straight back, not out to the sides. Tuck that tail, pull the heart through and up. Cobra pose. Take a moment while here, check that the elbows are in, that the heart is lifted, the shoulders are drawn down and together, and that the pelvis is rooted on the mat. There's no collapsing into the low back here. Exhale, release. Inhale, up and back. Downward facing dog. Give yourself a couple of breaths. Maybe moving, maybe finding stillness. One more cycle of breath. And from here, we're going to rock forward to plank. And you can either plant the left palm beneath the nose or the left forearm beneath the nose. If you're protecting your left shoulder, sometimes the forearm feels nicer. And ideally, we want left shoulder stacked above that left wrist. Hips are lifted, right arm lifts. Now on an exhale, if your shoulder allows you, we're going to lower the left hip. Inhale, lift. One more, exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Come back over into plank pose. Press back up to downward dog. Lift this left leg up. Exhale, knee to nose or forehead. Inhale, extend. Exhale, in. One more, inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it in, and then keep that knee in, keep the chin tucked as you rock forward. And then you can look forward, plant the left foot. Inhale, rise up, high lunge. Give yourself a moment here to be head up. We started this class already with lots of fire. And it's mostly been with head down. So just notice how it feels to be head up right here. On an exhale, bring the hands, the arms out to the sides, cactus arms. Lift the heart just a little bit. Trying to mimic that back bend we did while seated, where only from above the navel bends. One more breath here. Then on an inhale, sweep those arms up. Exhale, we're going to hinge forward. Fingertips on the mat. Lower this right knee. Walk the hands back. Setting up for your half splits. Often we go into pyramid pose or triangle pose here. But today I thought we would vary it up in a slightly deeper expression of the same range of motion. So in half splits, you might find that it's pretty early to do that with this left leg. It may feel better to rock forward, bending the leg and back straightening it. Maybe you stay in this vinyasa the whole time. Inhaling to bend, exhaling to straighten. Maybe you feel that you can hold it straight, squaring those hips, keeping the hips stacked above the right knee. Flex those left toes back, and then hinge forward at the hips. Instead of reaching the head toward the leg, think of bending at the elbows, drawing the whole torso down toward the leg. And the hands can be on blocks. We're here for about 5 more seconds. On an inhale, let's bend into this left leg. Curl the right toes under. We're going to crawl all the way to the right foot at the back edge of the mat. And from here, lower the left knee, inhale, chest, chin up. Exhale, straighten both legs, look back. Inhale, lower. Exhale, straighten. Last time, inhale, lower. We're going to stay here. Untuck those left toes for the time being. Bring right hand to right knee, left arm lifts. Now this might feel like a good place for your body. You might be enjoying this right now. If so, stay here. If you want to add just a little variation to this, we're going to exhale, tuck the left elbow outside of the right knee, bring hands to heart center, look toward the back corner of your mat, over your right shoulder. To add a little bit more yet, you might curl the left toes under and lift the left knee, coming up into a high twisted lunge. Stay here for one more breath. Inhaling. If your knee's lifted, exhale to lower that knee. And then we'll inhale, come all the way up through center, no matter where you are, both arms up. Exhale, plant those hands. Left toes are tucked under. We're going to step back, finding plank. Now, instead of moving through our traditional vinyasa, I'm going to show you something else. It might be helpful for you because you're facing the back edge of your mat, to come down to your knees and just look at the camera for a second, because it's kind of a hard one to explain. So we start in downward facing dog. And then from here, we're going to rock forward to plank, and we're going to lower the elbows down to forearm plank. So I actually need to stretch out my plank a bit more where I can do that. It might be better to go one elbow at a time. Going two elbows at a time is pretty challenging. So if you find that to be true in your body, then go one elbow and then the other. And then you're in a forearm plank. From here, you're going to press the hips back and up, coming into dolphin pose, which is down dog, but on the forearms. And then we're going to press back up to down dog. So again, you might do one elbow at a time, lifting one, then the other. If it feels accessible, you can do both at a time. And then rock forward to plank. And you can see how it cycles through. So one thing to know while you're doing this, you can always come down onto your knees. Additionally, if it feels bad in the shoulders at all, then avoid this vinyasa. Do something else. A traditional vinyasa, a child's pose, hold plank. Any of those things are great options. If it feels accessible in the body, not necessarily easy, but accessible, then try it out with me, okay? So let's start by finding down dog, and then rock forward to plank. Now from here, notice for yourself if you want to drop one elbow and then the other, or both at once, into forearm plank, and then press those hips back and up, down dog. Now the same elbow that you dropped first last time, let's lift first this time. And we're into downward facing dog. And now let's rock forward and lower the opposite elbow first this time. Press those hips back, dolphin pose, and then lift the opposite, that same elbow. Nice. Okay, let's do one more of these. You know the scoop now. Actually, to keep it even, we should probably do two more if you're lowering one elbow at a time. Okay, so plank, forearms, dolphin, down dog. Plank, forearms, dolphin, down dog. Nice. Once you're there, lower the knees down. Find child's pose for just a moment. That is a fiery vinyasa. The strength that it builds is the same strength as that scapular push-up. So if you're working on arm balances, if you're working on forearm stand or handstand, that strength is going to be particularly useful. Give yourself one more breath here. Use an inhale to rock forward. We're not going far though. We're just going to stretch out the shoulders after all that stretching by finding puppy pose. So hips stay over knees, hands crawl forward, forehead or chin reaches toward the mat, the head might stay lifted, but let it relax, or it might touch the mat. Give yourself a couple of breaths here. And play with slightly tucking the tail and drawing the navel in. That can protect the low back, add a little more integrity to the pose. On an inhale, plant those hands, rock forward to your forearms, lower the pelvis. We're in Sphinx pose. Draw those shoulders back toward each other without even lifting your torso as high as you can. Start with the shoulders. And then as you inhale, the chin might lift a bit. Think of that double chin engagement, more than just lifting the chin back and up, drawing the chin back slightly as the heart lifts. One more inhale here. Exhale, release to the mat. Let it go. On an inhale, we're going to press up and back, finding our way to downward facing dog. And we'll give our shoulders a little bit of a break. We're kind of working them pretty hard right now. So inhale this left leg up. Exhale, knee toward left elbow. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, bring it forward. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, step this left foot toward the hands. And from here, turn the right foot out 90 degrees. Windmill those arms up, warrior two. Draw sit bones toward each other. Left knee toward left pinky toe. Press into the outside edge of the right foot. Shoulder blades engaged on the back side of the body. Give yourself a couple of breaths. On an exhale, you might find your way to side angle, hinging forward, keeping the legs as they are, left elbow to left knee, right arm up. Maybe that left hand comes down inside of the left foot. You might bring the right hand to the low back, working toward a bind. Wherever you are, begin to slowly release. We're going to turn to face this left foot once again, pivoting on the back foot. Heel toe the left foot out to the side. And so we're in lizard pose. We're just going to straighten and bend this left leg. And for this pose, I encourage you to ask yourself what feels better right now, bending into the left leg or straightening the left leg. So lizard pose or abducted half splits. Give yourself a moment to feel through it. And then whichever one feels the best, park yourself there. Settle into that shape. And don't worry about what I'm doing. It's literally the same range of motion. Just whichever feels better in your body is the one you ought to be in. Take 2 more breaths here. Inhale, bend into this left leg. Curl the right toes under. Crawl those hands halfway to the right. Both sets of toes point forward. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, fold. We're in a wide-legged forward fold here. Now, options here would be to crawl the hands forward and really work on opening through the shoulders, or to crawl the hands back, work on bringing the torso further down, or maybe grab opposite elbows and just sway. Just let yourself be here. If you've been working on headstand, this is also a great time to play with that. Maybe spreading the legs wider, planting elbows beneath shoulders, and releasing the fingers, crown of the head between the wrists, and then just rocking forward. Putting weight into the head and to the arms. And maybe you find a moment where you want to lift one heel in toward sit bones. If so, with one heel towards sit bones, you can always leverage that knee to lift the other leg and then straighten both legs out. And this is one of the most secure shapes in headstand, meaning it's less likely that you'll feel that your body wants to topple. Keeping the legs wide like this. If you are in a headstand, begin to lower. On an inhale, we'll all crawl the hands forward, lengthen the spine, look forward. And then crawl the right foot at the front edge of the mat. From here, step back, downward facing dog. Now, if your shoulders are like, whew, I'm already feeling it, then you might choose to stay in normal down dog while we move through this next pose. But if you feel like you could add a little more strength work to the shoulders, we're going to lower the elbows down beneath shoulders and step the feet forward a bit. Press into the entirety of the left forearm, including the left palm and fingertips. Slide the right fingertips back outside the right foot. Now, if that feels okay, you might grab the right leg. And if that feels okay, you might begin to liberate this left leg any amount off the mat. Remember, the focus here is the strength of the left shoulder. So keep pressing the mat away, whether you're on your palm or on your forearm. Slowly lower the left leg if it's lifted. Release the right hand back. Lower those knees, come up to seated. Give those arms a shake. From here, we're going to cross the ankles and come to a seat. So our adduction of the left leg is going to be double pigeon. So right knee is on bottom, left knee will stack on top of it. Your knees might be a foot apart. That is totally fine. Do not worry if that's the case. If having the knees bent feels uncomfortable, you can straighten the legs and just keep the left leg on top, crossed over. If the knees can be bent, then flex the toes out to the sides. In the interest of giving our left shoulder a break, we're going to focus on the left hip here. That might mean hinging forward, keeping the sit bones planted as you do so. That might mean walking the hands back and broadening through the front side of the body. Or it might mean tucking the right elbow outside of the left knee, coming into a twist. It might mean pulsating between all of the options. On an inhale, begin to move out of whatever shape you are in. Uncross the legs and give them a little bit of a shake. From here, try to glue some part of the feet together and point the toes. We're going to crawl the hands back, turn the palms face up behind you, and then squeeze the fingertips together. I call this one tulip hands. I don't know what it's actually called, but it's like you're holding something in your fingertips. They're kind of reaching toward the forearms. You're on the back side of the wrist. And then from here, proud chest. Shoulders draw toward each other on the back. You can always scoot the hands back or scoot the hips forward to deepen. Just a nice stretch through the left shoulder in specific after all that work. On an inhale, draw those knees in toward the chest and rock up to a seat. Right hand grabs around the shins, left tricep to left knee, thumb and fist flex that bicep. Stabilizing what we just opened up. Go ahead and release. From here, we're going to grab the backs of the thighs and roll onto the back for a moment. Maybe allow yourself to rock side to side, feeling if there's anything going on in the body that you're noticing. And from here, we'll cross the left leg again on top of the right. You maybe see where we're headed. We haven't done this in a while. And because left leg is on top, we'll have left arm crossed under the right, either backs of hands touching. Maybe you can loop the left hand into the right palm. Now we're going to focus on keeping the low back glued down. So it helps to really draw the knees in for a moment and feel the low back glued. And we're going to think that on exhale, we lift the shoulders a bit, the elbows and the knees touch. On an inhale, we lower the toes toward the mat and the fingertips toward the mat behind the head, but we keep the low back glued. So we only lower as much as we can while the low back stays grounded. All right, so let's do a few of these. We're just going for time, so you can go whatever pace that you want. This one's a good one because you can usually tell if you're cheating. If your low back comes unglued, you get this nice farting noise on your mat. Kind of calls you out and reminds you, okay, low back glued down. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the arms, release the legs, give your hips a wiggle side to side, windshield wiper in the knees maybe. When you feel ready, draw those knees in toward the chest. And we just need to make our way to the front edge of the mat. So I'm going to take 3 rocks and I'll go first to my butt, then to my feet in a low squat, and then to my feet while standing. You have that option. You can do anything else additionally that you would like to do. This last rock will be all the way to the front. Stand up, inhale those arms up. Exhale the hands to heart center. Give yourself a moment here. Head up, standing on your own 2 feet, hands at heart center. Notice the difference between left and right sides of body. Everything we just did to the one side, we're going to now repeat to the other. Notice if in hearing me say that, you had any sort of reaction. Dread, excitement. Remember, we're not here to judge ourselves, but simply to observe. And on that note, we can go ahead and open the eyes, and we'll prepare to set up just like we did on the last side. So we started from downward facing dog, which means we need to make our way back. Now, I had us come to the front of the mat with the idea that we might want to experiment with a crow pose to get to the back. Again, if your shoulders are like, not actually interested in that, then go ahead and skip it. And just find your way to the back in your own fashion. If you think that would be nice right now, then you might step back toward the center, plant the hands near the front edge of the mat, shoulder distance apart. Bring the knees to the back sides of the arms. And as you lean forward, your elbows hug in. Okay, so right now maybe they're out, but they hug in and they point straight back. You lean forward, look forward, press the mat away, keep leaning forward and pressing the mat away, and then maybe you find some lift off. Once the feet are lifted, try to bring them closer to the sit bones. Try to become light on the backs of the arms, try to press the mat away with the hands. And if it feels okay, you can fly back to chaturanga, otherwise lower and hop back. And we'll just inhale, find downward facing dog. All right, from here, rock forward to plank. This is where we'll move the right hand beneath the nose or forearm. And roll to the outside of the right foot. Inhale this left arm up. Thumb against index fingernail, you might stay here, or you might lower the right hip. Exhale, left fingertips to the floor. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Hold right here, and then pivot back to high plank and downward facing dog. Give yourself a moment. It's a fiery way to start a set. Inhale this right leg up. Exhale, right knee toward nose or forehead. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bring it in, but look forward. Step the right foot down. Inhale, high lunge. Settle in here. One of our only head fully up, standing fully up postures in this set. If you did so last time, bring the hands and arms out to the sides, coming into T-post arms, cactus arms. Draw the shoulders together on the back, and then begin to lift from the heart. On an inhale, come all the way back up. We're going to exhale, hinge forward, fingertips on the mat. Lower that left knee and walk the hands back, finding Ardha Hanumanasana, half splits. Bend and straighten this leg a couple of times, just warming it up. It's a deep pose when we just have done really one specific pose on this side so far. When you feel ready to hold, you can hold. If that point never comes and pulsation feels best, then stay pulsating. Remember here to think of bending at the elbows, lowering the whole torso down as opposed to just drawing the head in. Two more breaths here. And then on an inhale, then into this right knee. Tuck the left toes under, crawl all the way to the back. Lower the right knee down on an inhale. Exhale, straighten both legs, look back. Inhale, bend, look up. Exhale, straighten, look back. Inhale, bend, look up. This time it's a hold in the bent position. Uncurl the right toes, left hand to left knee. Inhale this right arm up. Anjaneyasana on the left side, but working the right hip open. Now, just like last time, you have the option to stay here. You have the option to twist to the left, tucking the right arm, the right elbow outside the left knee, bringing hands to heart center. Or you have the option to curl the right toes under and lift this leg. Not the whole leg, obviously, that would be impossible. But lift the knee, coming into a twisted high lunge. If the right knee is lifted, go ahead and lower. Everybody inhale through center, reach both arms up. And exhale, plant the hands. Bring the left knee back and come to a seat where, again, you can take a moment to look at the screen. So I'm going to demo a second option for working that same shoulder strength that we did on the other side when we went plank, low plank, dolphin, down dog. This one will be a little bit different. We'll have elbows beneath shoulders, interlace the fingers, and have the thumbs loose. With the thumbs loose, you'll pop the hips back and up into dolphin pose. And from here, you're really working on pressing the mat away. So you can tell if I'm pressing the mat away or not. So it's kind of those same scapular push-up motions. But press the mat away, look forward, and keep pressing the mat away. Maybe bring the chin to the thumbs or the lips to the thumbs. And press back. Okay, so that is an option for this side. If you want to work the other movement of that full vinyasa, please feel free. And if you want to take a normal vinyasa, also feel free to do that. Even if your choice here is child's pose, still focus on the shoulders. If you're doing the chin taps, maybe consider doing 5 or 8. It helps to exhale on the push back, inhale on the rock forward. We'll all eventually meet in downward facing dog. Give yourself a couple breaths here to shake off whatever it is you just engaged with. Then on an inhale, we'll extend the right leg behind us. Exhale, knee toward right elbow. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it in and step it forward. Lower the left foot 90 degrees. Windmill those arms up on an inhale. Find warrior 2. Soften the shoulders from the ears. Keep the shoulders drawn toward each other on the back. Keep the sit bones drawn toward each other. That might feel a little bit like a tuck of a tail, but also external rotation of this right leg. Strength as we reach out of the outside edge of the left leg. And if you'd like to on this side, hinge forward, finding side angle pose. Maybe right elbow to right knee, maybe right hand inside of right foot. Maybe finding any sort of bind. Slowly release wherever you are. Pivot back to face the right foot. Lower the left knee. Heel to the right foot out to the edge of the mat, both hands inside of it. And we're just going to straighten and bend this right leg. And again, notice for yourself which feels better. It might be different on this side. And even though normally we go for perfect symmetry, if there's already an imbalance in the body, if it feels different on one side and like one pose would be better, then honor that. That will help find balance again. If you end up choosing one of these poses, go ahead, settle into it. If pulsating feels best, allow yourself to pulsate. Take 2 more breaths in whatever shape you're in. And on an inhale, we'll bend into this right leg. Instead of going symmetrical into another wide-legged forward fold, we're instead going to crawl all the way to the front edge of the mat. And let me think about it for a second. And I think from here, we crawl back into double pigeon. So you can make your way to a seat. I know all the poses we need to do, I just don't remember what order, so I promise we will be balanced out. Let's go ahead and stack right knee atop left. This time, remember legs can be straight if you want. And again, options to press into the sit bones and hinge forward, to twist, to open up through the back side of the body, or through the front side as well. Give yourself a couple of breaths. On an inhale, we'll press the torso back up, uncross the legs, give them a good shake. I remember the order now, and I'm slightly out of order, but I will get back to it, I promise. From here, we can scoot the hips forward, grab the backs of the legs, come on to the back. And this time we'll cross right leg over left. Right leg over left, right arm under left. Again, low back is glued to the mat. So on an inhale, we extend, reaching fingers behind us, toes in front of us. Exhale, bring it up, elbows toward knees. The shoulders can lift a bit. All right, so you go to whatever feels best in your body, to whatever range, and go at whatever speed. Just make sure you exhale on the curls in, inhale on the extensions out. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, release the arms to the sides, windshield wiper the knees side to side. As you feel ready, draw the knees in toward the chest. And again, we just need to make our way to the front edge of the mat. So you might rock, you might come to a seat and cross the ankles and flop over to standing that way. Whatever feels right to you. Once you arrive at the front of the mat in a forward fold, let's plant the hands, step back, downward facing dog. And this is the pose I forgot earlier. Lower those elbows to the mat. And we're going to do our right shoulder flexion here. So looking back at the feet, you might step them forward a bit. If it feels okay to do so, and it might feel like enough to be right here, this is already a really strong pose. If it feels okay though, press into the right hand, reach back, grab the left leg or tent the fingers outside of the left foot, and then maybe begin to lift the right leg up. Let the breath be steady. Lower the right foot if it's lifted. Release the left hand. Press yourself up and back to downward facing. Now here's the fun thing. We now need to jump to the front in order to get to our butts and onto our backs again. So you might choose to take some hops. You might choose to rock the shoulders beyond the wrist. We don't do this often. Rock the shoulders beyond the wrist, press the mat away. And as you press it away, we're just gonna try to float the feet to the hands. So lean forward, kick the feet up, and hop them toward the hands. Can be kind of fun. You might do it a few times. You might call it good. And from here, we can come to a seat. Now the shoulder stretch we did on the other side was symmetrical, so we don't have a need to do it here. What we do need to do is some external rotation at the hips though. So we can go ahead and roll to our backs. And we're gonna bring the left ankle to the right knee. Flex both sets of toes back. If you have the right hand underneath the right knee, you can pull back. And then I like to have my left hand kind of on just above my ankle. And then I use my elbow to press my left knee away. You could also use your left hand, maybe even have the elbow resting on the mat to press it away. Keep experimenting here, maybe drawing the right knee further in, pressing the left knee further away. Not going for intensity, but going for some level of sensation. On an exhale, slowly soften out of this, and we'll just switch to the other side. So keep pulling the left knee back, pressing the right knee away. Both sets of toes are flexed. Exhale, slowly soften out of this. Now in your final minutes of class, determine what would feel best for yourself. Finalizing back bend, maybe a finalizing inversion, shoulder stand, plow. If you were really feeling warmed up and good through the shoulders, you might decide that you would like to do a finalizing arm balance. That's totally fine. I'm going to demo, for the sake of kind of where all those shoulder things were headed, set up for a forearm stand. And I would not recommend doing this off of a wall. I would do it against a wall because it's usually a lot of engagements that our bodies aren't used to, and we might need the wall as support behind us. But if you're interested in playing with a forearm stand, you would start by planting the shoulder or the elbows beneath the shoulders and pressing the hips back and up, just like in down dog. Or sorry, just like in dolphin. And keep in mind the hands, they might be directly in front of the elbows, or you can have them kind of triangle together. For me, that feels like a more stable shape, so I often do the triangle. And as you walk the feet in, you would gaze between the wrists. And gazing between the wrists, you might lift one leg and just hop off of the other one. So the right leg is lifted, the left knee bends and hops, bends and hops. All right, and then maybe you try on the other side. Remember, the leg that's lifted stays straight and reaching up. The leg that's planted bends and hops. And if at any point you find a little bit of hang time against your wall, that's fabulous. That's so fun. And just focus on maybe trying to bring both legs up. Keep pressing the mat away. Not collapsing into the shoulders at all, but protecting them. And if you did play with those hops at all, it might feel good to take another puppy pose or to take a spinal twist laying on your back. Find whatever shape you want to be in for your final couple minutes of class, whether that be seated, lying down, maybe still playing with an inversion. Wherever you are, invite a softness into the body, a sort of release of attachment to outcome. Remind yourself that you showed up today for the sake of showing up. And that trying all of these different shapes and postures and movements on this mat is in no way linked to performing them in any certain way. Rather, we try just to show ourselves what we can do. And sometimes what we can do is not at all mimic a shape, but still survive. Show ourselves that sometimes what happens is not at all what's expected, or maybe not even what's desired, and guess what? We live through it. If we can manage to live through it with a smile on our faces, then that is quite a life skill we're cultivating. Wherever you are, invite the breath back into the physical body, deepening inhales, lengthening exhales. And take your time, but move through whatever progression feels right to you to come to a seat. And that might mean that you're not yet to a seat by the time this class ends. That's fine. Take your time. Listen to your body. If you have arrived at a seat, we can inhale these arms out to the sides and up, palms touching overhead. Exhale, thumbs pausing at forehead. This time in thanks for the physical body, the vehicle of ourselves. Thumbs pausing. at the mouth, and thanks for breath, what gives us an animated life. And thumbs pausing at heart center, acknowledging with gratitude whatever it is that makes us uniquely ourselves. Thumbs return to forehead as we bow forward gently. The light within me recognizes and honors the light within each of you. Namaste.